Uniforms in schools. Do you like uniforms?
I do, because where I'm from, it helps distinguish our kids, and it keeps them in line because we have an idea, it identifies what areas these kids are from and where they should be.
Yeah.
So anytime kids are out of that area, we always identify it by their uniforms. I do.
I don't really like uniforms. I don't like being restricted in what I have to wear. It kind of makes me unhappy. I guess the point is to like lessen different money issues, but I don't really think that it actually serves that function. Yes, especially because of the false idea of unisex, in that they sell us unisex clothing, but really it's just guy clothing.
No, I don't like the uniform. Do you think our school is diversified? Not really, but there are less minorities and more minorities.
Do you like uniforms? I don't know, I guess they're alright. I'd rather not, but I have to.
I think it's good.
Do you think your school is diversified?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of different kind of people.
You don't? Why don't you like uniforms?
I really hate them. They I don't know. I just hate them. They trap my
Do you feel restricted?
artistic. Yes.
Yeah.
So I went back to Beauvoir, Le Deuxième Sexe, and there I found this one passage, which is of course perhaps the most famous passage from Beauvoir, where she says that one is not born a woman, but rather becomes one. And I wrote something about this problem of becoming, and I wanted to know: does one actually ever become one, or is it that to be a woman is a mode of becoming without end, a mode of becoming that doesn't end, that has no end or goal? And then I thought, well, maybe you could say the same of gender more generally, that one is not born a man, but rather becomes one. Or perhaps one is born a male or female, but becomes something which is neither a man nor a woman. And it seemed to me that this notion of becoming, devenir, could lead to any number of directions.
I think it's extremely important for a radical sexual movement to keep in mind that marriage is only one way of organizing sexuality and organizing kinship, parenté. And so I think marriage does have to open. I suppose it has to open to any two people who may want to join in a marriage contract, although I don't know why it only is two. Why two?
Why two? Yeah.
Why two?
Why two and not three?
I don't understand the two. But I gather it just feels too radical, for most people to say more than two. But I don't really understand why two. I think we should ask the question.
Three,
whatever. I don't.
Butler brings to light the idea of the necessity of female representation. Her ideas introduce that the unity of the category of women is neither presupposed nor desired, and that the unity may have other purposes than simply achieving one shared identity. Her ideas also suggest that the category and the meaning of female identity are completely meaningless. She suggests that there could be the possibility for many types of genders, but instead our past juridical structures have limited our choices down to only two, the binary system of gender which we have right now. In this case, the continuous effort to maintain a unified and shared identity of the school may just be a waste of time and effort. Applying Butler's notions of identity, we can come to the conclusion that an identity is not fixed, but it is simply a performance. In this case, a possibility of this use of enforcing this unifying identity may be to enforce and stabilize the power of the teachers and staff on the students, to make the student body more recognized, drawing a clear distinction between the two bodies. This notion can be utilized, twisted and thought of in a way that, if the unity was for no other purpose rather than simply unity itself, then the entire school consisting of all teachers, staff, principals, and students should wear the same set of uniform to achieve absolute unity. Then we reach a conclusion that the enforced uniform policy may be a measure to instill power upon students. On the opposite side, those who oppose the traditional principles and intentions of the uniform policy may be trying to counteract and overpower the body who has imposed the policy. From this, we can think, well, the uniform definitely could achieve its purposes, and it is a very strong method to achieving this purpose of instilling power upon its students. This makes us think that the fixed teacher and student relationship right now may have been formed by the increasing need of knowledge as well. It could have started out with something like this. But now it's something like this. Like what Butler pointed out, sometimes there may not be a unifying identity that all the subjects would fit into. Moreover, how can we be so sure of this identity? It could very well be an identity that our powering structures have long shaped for us. Butler introduces the area of representational politics, which shakes our fundamental beliefs about the personal identity problem. Individual identity would have been a personal issue that revolves around the philosophy of the metaphysics of oneself.
The first approach to this that we considered was the soul theory of personal identity. The key to being the same person is having the same soul. Same soul, same person, different soul, different person. And the difficulty with that approach, even if we bracket the question whether or not there are souls, the difficulty with that approach was that it seems as though the soul could constantly be changing while the personality, as we might call it, stays the same.
Now the involvement of the institution is brought in. If Butler's proposal is true, how would we support our previous arguments about the uniform issue? Our good values unity may not be beneficial because there is not a stable identity in which we as the students can maintain. Moreover, our identities may be formed entirely by our governing bodies. In this case, it could be the school board, the government, or the history of the education system. Is there a point to the struggle within the student body to maintain their individual identity? Or rather, to what extent is considered as a part of our individual identity? Maybe we can make a compromise and maintain our assumed identity while maintaining the surface unity. But, is this unified identity necessary? Maybe we could set aside the uniform problem and shift the focus on achieving the main purpose of the educational system, in this case, schooling. However, we are so accustomed to our assumed individual identity and our values about unity being a good thing, neither side will be resistant to giving this up. Maybe this is the reason why many don't feel like that being a student of their school makes up a huge part of their identity.
No.
No. No.